The League of Women Voters has been around for over 100 years. We're a nonpartisan organization of activist grassroots organization that believes voters should play a critical role in democracy. We are partnering with COSARO to host this Ward 1 candidate forum. We want to make sure that our voters are informed. And part of this informing the residents and the electorate is to ask questions of the candidates to see what they can do for you and how they can help you make your community a better place to live. If you are not registered to vote, we have Vote 411, where you can look up information of how to register to vote, as well as additional voter information. And of course, you can go to the League of Women Voters or Board of Elections website to find out additional information. The primary is going to be held on Tuesday, September the 9th, and the general election, of course, is Tuesday, November 4th. We hope to see you at both times to make sure that you have your voice heard.
It's Don McGee. I'm the Executive Director of the Miles Heights Development Corporation, servicing the Leesonville neighborhood of Ward 1. Few housekeeping things that we need to explain how tonight is going to go so everybody can follow along and participate.
Thank you all for coming out and joining us for this Ward 1 Council Candidate Forum. There will be 3 candidates today. I'm Veronica Gordon-Evans, if you met Don, and we will be your moderators for this evening forum. Each candidate will have a minute to a minute and a half for an opening statement and a minute to answer the questions as they come forward. Questions from the audience are to be written on the index cards that were passed out when you came in, as well you can give them to, we have volunteers in the audience who will be collecting them. They'll be sorted out, as Ms. Janet explained, to make sure we don't have any duplicates. And due to time restraints, we may not be able to ask every question submitted, but please stick around and see if those candidates are able to maybe address your questions after the forum. And then just a couple of more things, please turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate. That is important. We want to be able to focus and hear what the candidates have to say. We also expect our audience to give each speaker an opportunity to be heard. So please hold on to your applause until the end of the evening. We will ask the audience also to avoid expressions of support or opposition to any candidate during this presentation, time, or answers to questions. We are nonpartisan here. Everybody gets a chance to express their voice. There is no campaign literature allowed in the forum room.
Okay, so if you have a card, raise your hand, they will collect your card, they'll bring them over, we will sort them to make sure they're not duplicates, and then we will get them to the moderators. In choosing the moderators and other people that are part of the committee, we went across the whole ward. And I say that that's important because Ward 1 has 5 communities. Lee Harvard is one that we hear about all the time. There's Lee Miles, there's Leesonville, there's Miles Heights, and also Mount Pleasant. So we want everybody to be part of this particular event because that's how we come together to make our decisions.
Candidates will have 1 minute to answer questions, and the time will be monitored and strictly enforced by our 2 timekeepers. There are 5 candidates running for the council position in Ward 1. As you can see, we have 3 of them here right now, but we do want you to know that all candidates were invited.
My name is Mark Crosby. I've been living here since 1992. We raised 6 kids in this area. 4 of them went to Kennedy, 2 went to private school. My wife is Jan in the audience here. We both ran a nonprofit for 10 years, as well as being able to be both master business students, as well as nonprofit management master degree people. We service the reentry, we service families, we own the child care center in Lorraine, and the things that we most put emphasis on is family. I come from a family, I was raised in the Cedar area, moved on Wade Park. I've been in and out of here since '65, since my older sister moved over here. I had mentors over here, I had mentors down the way. My problem with Ward 1 right now, we don't have mentors. We don't think about the things that we have to represent to the children. I have a problem with families that's not connected to the community to get the things that the children need here as well as recreation. And then I have a big issue with the violence and the drug dealing, et cetera, that's going on in the community that keeps a lot of us uncomfortable and worried about what's going on in the city and also on our streets. I love Ward 1. I've been in love with Ward 1. I had a lot of mentors before I went to the military in '73. They gave me a lot of substance. A lot of them are gone. Unfortunately, a lot of them moved out. But this is my home. I'm gonna be here. We've been here since 1992 and I love this place. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Juanita O. Brandt. I just happen to also be a state representative right now and serving this part of Ward 1 as well as 9 other cities for the past 7 years. Outside of that, I've been a lifelong Cleveland Ward 1 resident right on Glendale. No matter if it's my first job at the Harvard Community Service Center or serving on the Board of Trustees at the Harvard Community Service Center, my second job at Walgreens, and just walking through this community, I just know that I have been very intentional about being here all of my life. There's a lot of places I could go, but being in Cleveland, particularly in this community, is my heart's desire. When I looked at deciding to come to run for Cleveland City Council, I talked to the people. I did a lot of talking to people. And people were like, why did you wait so late to get in the races? Because I wanted to talk to the people. I didn't want to just jump into a race because of something. And these are 3 things that I kept hearing from people when in the community: a clean, safe, and connected Cleveland. And I keep it very simple because when we talk about clean, people, no matter if you're talking about your house being clean or the street being clean or improving the houses or the business quality, people want that clean. Safety, no matter if it's the fireworks that you hear, that could also sound like gunshots. We want to be connected to our police. We want to have a method to make sure everybody feels safe and secure within our community. And connected is more than just having town hall meetings, which I just had one on July the 10th at the Harvard Community Service Center. But it's also letting people know what services are available through the city and what does that mean to be connected with all the city services within itself. It's so important that we are working together to work like a fist and not a bunch of fingers. There's going to be a lot of conversation about what Cleveland needs, but we know what's best. And so I'm looking here to be able to be a servant and to be able to make sure that we are all enjoying a Cleveland that's clean, safe, and connected.
My name is Alan Bridges. I'm a 62-year resident of this ward. I'm running for one primary reason. I want to be connected. I want us to reconnect as neighbors. I canvassed this ward 3.5 times this year. I listened to people. I didn't talk to them, I listened to them. They feel left out. Yes, we do need business development in this ward, but we need good business development. We need things well beyond gas stations and bars. We need safety in this community. Everybody should feel safe. I have a passion towards the safety of women. You should feel safe in your home, you should feel safe in your jobs, and you should feel safe on the streets.
As a final quick reminder, this is a forum and not a debate. So council candidates, please direct all questions to the audience and not your fellow candidates.
Okay, so I have your first question. Transparency is important to the community, including the community block grant funds and casino funds. How will you ensure transparency and keep the community informed?
Thank you, Anita O. Brandt. Those funds are just very important. And you even see what I do now as a state representative when I send out newsletters. When I allocate money, I send that out in newsletters, I send that out in emails. That's already has been my style of how. Just got the money from the PUCO, which is our Public Utilities Commission, for our hazmat training for our area. Anytime I bring money home, I'm letting people know. I'm not sugarcoating. You need to know what I'm fighting for, and that should be publicly known, no matter if it's sending out with a robocall, no matter if it's sending out through a text message or an email. Communication should come easy. That should be the last thing, because most of us are just trying to survive to be in our community. We should not have to fight to try to find out where that money is going when I make those decisions.
Here's my simple answer for you. I'm an accountant by training and education. I served as Associate Dean of Finance and Administration at Mary Medical College. Everybody in here receives a bank statement. Everybody. I don't care if you have a savings account, checking account. You need to know what your CBD dollars are. You need to know what your casino dollars are. That should be posted in a newsletter. It should be shared with you in community meetings. Not only how much they are, what they are spent on. Currently, we don't have that. We do not get that here. I believe in full transparency. Full transparency means if you ask, I will tell. If I don't know, I will tell you I don't know. But you need to know it's your money. It's not my money. It's yours. Thank you.
Now, most people think they know, but can each of you explain to us what are the responsibilities of a council person?
Yeah, I think the first thing is with the council person is to make sure that he's representing the city and the people itself. And also making sure that legislation is going to be something that everybody can benefit from, not a personal thing as to where he or she wants to direct it. So that would be one of the first things that I would think would be the most powerful thing getting in office, to make sure that the community understands what I'm trying to do. The thing that comes into this community should always be shared with the opinion of the community itself. First thing, I look forward to jobs or business development to make sure that the dollars stay here, that the participants shop here, and also be able to respect the situation as to how we spend the dollars and share it with the political involvement as well as the decisions that we make as far as political leaders. But the community has to be on top of that. They have to come in with the political situation to make sure the decisions are made fairly.
The city council person does is that they make the laws here within our community. That's the one thing. They make sure there's a balanced budget when it comes to representing our needs. Those are the two main things that they do, and they represent the geographical area. Now, there's a lot of other things that go into being a council person, like being kind to people, picking up your phone, having proper communication, but the main thing is making sure you're a legislator and making sure you're a legislator that's gonna help with the quality of life for those who you represent here within the community and making those financial decisions for the community. But most of the time, the things that are troubling for folks is not the things that's written in the rules. It's making sure that somebody shows up when the street of Harvard is blocked off and you have a person who said, well, I don't wanna come even though the street's blocked off because I wanna be in the bed with my spouse. Or, you know, you have community meetings that are scheduled and they cancel it because they wanna go on vacation. Those are the things that are not always talked about. Thank you.
The responsibilities of a Cleveland City Councilman are spelled out in the city ordinances, and I highly recommend that everybody read the city ordinances. You have two primary responsibilities. One, to attend the body of the whole, which meets on Monday, every Monday at 7 o'clock, and committee meetings. That's your primary responsibility. Under that, you have responsibility to vote on ordinances to pass laws or ordinances in the city of Cleveland. You should also be responsive and be present for your ward. A lot of people are under the impression or function like a councilman is a mini mayor, as in M-I-N-I. A councilman is not a mini mayor. He or she is a legislator. You have people in city council, such as your attorneys, who write legislation for you. You can put it on a piece of bubble gum and they will draft it out. It's your responsibility to be present to be sure that legislation is passed, and you also should be there to vote and represent your ward.
What will be your priority on day one if you're elected?
Day one, priority. First off, I need to understand and meet every other council member that I'm gonna serve with. That's priority number one. Priority number two is to start to arrange important and significant meetings with people in City Hall. That means your city services director, your finance director, et cetera, and so on. Tantamount to all of that, I need to be in touch with everybody in this room. I'm not gonna change what I've said when I walk this ward. You're my neighbors. I don't care if you live in Mount Pleasant, where I grew up early. I don't care if you live in Leesville, You are my neighbor, and I want to stay in touch with you. I will answer and return your phone calls, and I will also have an executive assistant who's responsive. And tantamount to it all, I will be present. A leader is present. He or she must be present for you.
The first thing I would like to do is to form a mini street club representation as I could, to make sure that every resident knows who their street club resident or leadership is, so that we can bring everything together so everybody be on the same frame of mind. That's the first thing I would do. Before we talking about political resources or dollars moving around, we need to make sure that the community is in agreement with the political decisions.
What I'll do on day one is basically have some reintroductions. You might have known me as your state representative, but now I want you to know me as your councilwoman. And that's me going to all the different parts of the community, and then simultaneously, while I'm doing those little meet and greets as your councilwoman, and then also making sure I'm simultaneously meeting up with our mayor, as well as our directors, our commanders, and figuring out how we can make sure that is set on the books of knowing that from day one, that everyone's gonna have access to that information to them from day one. Also, last but not least, we gotta get back to having our street clubs. One of the first ways that I got involved in our community is being part of my street club, and that was a joy of really just getting connected with my neighbors. We gotta bring those back. So all of those things on day one is not one thing on day one, it's just a multitude of things that we have to do on day one of working like a fist, of being safe, clean, and connected within our community.
Currently, in many neighborhoods, it does not seem that residents are included in decisions regarding day-to-day issues and the development of their wards. How would you change this concern?
The best way you address the change, you have to be willing and able to communicate with the residents. That does not occur now. Certain people in this room have been taken off mailing lists. When was the last time anybody in this room received a newsletter from the councilman? I can speak personally. I've been taken off the mailing list because I don't agree with what he does. He takes questions as being dissent. You have to be willing to stand up and listen to people. I go around and you listen to people. You just don't talk to them, you listen to people. I was trained as an arbitrator and mediator. To write awards, you have to be able to listen. I have to understand what your concerns are, and I can carry your concerns back to other communities. What happens in Mount Pleasant probably is gonna happen in Lee Harford. What happens in Leesville probably is gonna happen in Mount Pleasant. You gotta be able to listen, and you have to be able to do certain things. We don't have that. I'm one of the few people up here who has done certain things, and we get to that later.
Communication skills, mentorship, and being able to have a ton of street club representation is the way to keep the community involved, informed, and empowered. And those are the things that I can say over and over and over again. I walk this system all the way over, all the way around to all four corners of this community. You have some great people here. You have some people who are desperate or in despair. We have children that we're losing. We have children that's not getting enough teaching or mentorship. And those are the things that we have to connect with as a leader. We need a real good business development class for the young people, for business owners here, to see how they connect with the community as well as the upkeep of the community. That's my spiel, and that's what's something I feel in my heart.
How would you motivate business owners to maintain their business presence in the ward?
We have to directly tell people what services are available through the city. Like, I brought money home through the state. It's called the Middle Neighborhood Grant that actually went to Docs. And I don't know if some of you guys were actually there when we presented them with the money, and working with ways that they can have signage, which is lighting signage, and then also making sure that we have systems to make sure it's clean in the front. And so as we try to attract, retain the businesses, it's also important that we know, emphasize to them that it's important that the business is clean, and also this improving the quality of life within our community, so they can understand that day one, and then also being a part of our Merchants Association, which we have at the Harvard Community Service Center, and that we also have at the Union Miles Development, and working with them to help promote our businesses.
When a businessman or woman comes to this ward, it doesn't matter if they're coming from Strongville, North Ridgeville, or Solon. When you put your key in that door to open it, you are a neighbor and responsible to other people in Ward 1. The other thing that we need in this ward is a good streetscape program. I want you to keep in mind, compare what our Lee Road, our business district, looks like to Cleveland Heights Business District. This is terrible. The one thing that we also need here is you need business development. You need a person who can attract the appropriate businesses here. Again, I mentioned earlier, we need to go beyond gas stations and bars here. We don't have any accountants here. We don't have any lawyers here. We don't have any, well, we have some medical practices. But, you know, come on, we deserve better. One thing, you have to be able to sit down and approach business people. If you don't have that mental and intellectual capacity, you're not gonna get anything here.
Because I come from a small business family background, I believe in small businesses being a part of the community. Because the community is very, very, right now, desperate to have services and goods and things like that, that they don't want to go outside of the community. And I agree with Al about how Cleveland Heights got their setup.